18 days from the 30th of July, we invite you to come on a journey to encounter stories and characters, images and ideas that will make you feel joy, fear, sadness, surprise, and anger. This is not your lounge room or computer screen. This is cinema, that most beautiful fraud in the world, on the big screen in all its intensity and wonder. At the 64th Melbourne International Film Festival, these big screens are to be found at the following venues: the Forum, Australian Centre for the Moving Image, Kino Cinemas, Hoyt's Melbourne Central, the newly restored Treasury Theatre, and new this year, the Comedy Theatre in Exhibition Street, plus numerous other venues hosting our talking pictures and other events. With 370 films, this year's MIFF is the largest yet. In international panorama, we have The Lobster, one of my favourite films from Cannes, the English language debut from Yorgos Lanthimos, starring Colin Farrell, Rachel Weisz, and John C. Reilly. The Forbidden Room, the delightfully batty new film from Canadian director Guy Maddin. Tehran Taxi, a playful, insightful look at the Iranian capital as told through the always surprising filmic lens of Jafar Panahi. And Arabian Nights, screened in 3 volumes and across separate sessions, Miguel Gomes's indescribable, very epic film tells the everyday stories of a post-GFC Portugal through the structure of the 1001 Nights, with no lamp or 40 thieves in sight. Don't miss this, it will be your only chance to see it on the big screen. And in what feels like a big year already for Australian cinema, we introduce this year's strongest and most diverse local features, including The Daughter, the debut feature from Simon Stone, with an ensemble cast including MIFF patron Geoffrey Rush, Ewan Leslie, Miranda Otto, Sam Neill, and newcomer Odessa Young. Snow Monkey, the jaw-dropping documentary from George Gittos that explores the lives of child gangs in Jalalabad. The Caribbean Film Collective make their first visit to MIFF, an Indigenous filmmaking group whose distinctive films combine fiction and documentary. And a terrific selection of Premier Fund films, including Downriver, Echo Homo, Potapari and the Rainmakers, and Neon. New Australian shorts include the stunning Oscar Wilde's The Nightingale and the Rose, Face of Ukraine casting Oksana Bayul, Ernie Biscuit, and The Nice House, as well as our Accelerator program, now in its 12th year. Accent on Asia highlights include The Assassin, the Cannes Best Director Prize-winning new film from Taiwanese filmmaker Ho Xiaoxian, Ruined Heart, from Filipino cinepunk and MIFF guest Calvin de la Cruz, a lively, dialogueless gangster musical, with music from Stereo Total and cinematography by Christopher Doyle. Cemetery of Splendor, Thai director Apichatpong Weerasethakul's serene, spirited tale of a lonely housewife who volunteers at a hospital for those with narcolepsy. And Sunrise. Is that funny? And Sunrise, Partho Sengupta's brooding, rain-swept psychological noir. Backbeat highlights include Theory of Obscurity, about seminal multimedia cult rockers The Residents, celebrating 40 years of those well-known eyeballs, yet leaving their enigma intact. And a portrait of Mavis Staples, a living legend of blues, gospel, and soul, as well as being one of the leading lights of America's civil rights movement. Documentary highlights include The Look of Silence, Joshua Oppenheimer's stunning follow-up to his film The Act of Killing. The Wolf Pack, Crystal Moselle's story about 6 brothers kept enclosed in their father's New York apartment, remaking their own versions of the movies that have shown them the outside world. A strange, unforgettable true story about the importance of fiction. And Racing Extinction, Louis Sahoyas' follow-up to the Oscar-winning The Cove, a film which argues urgently against mass extinction through guerrilla filmmaking, undercover investigation, and beautiful big-screen sea life observation. Joshua, Crystal, and Louis will all be guests of MIFF. In Night Shift, a little bit of BMX Bandits and a lot of Mad Max combine to maximum ridiculousness in the post-apocalyptic BMX splatter romance, Turbo Kid, giving a sinister vision of a future world set in 1997. Deathgasm delivers head-banging heavy metal maelstrom in this New Zealand cult horror comedy that the early 90s Peter Jackson would be proud of, pitting metalheads against monstrous malevolence. And Love, in which Gaspar Noé tells a love story in a film that meshes hardcore sex with the soft underbelly of romantic regret, all delivered with the warning that it's got some 3D moments in it you won't be able to unwatch later. This year, we're very excited to present the first Australian retrospective of Josh and Benny Safdie. The brothers are gathering a reputation as fierce portraitists of niche subcultures that lie outside the norms of mainstream America. Their latest film, Heaven Knows What, is a high-energy tale of love among heroin users in the Upper West Side of New York City. Without glamorizing drugs or street life, the film burns with the intensity of the lived experience, and the Safdies' work in general impresses as humane, romantic, and frenzied. Josh and Benny Safdie will be guests of the festival. So continuing in the vein of a contemporary filmmaker retrospective, as we believe retrospectives should not just be for deceased and canonized auteurs, we present a focus on Chilean filmmaker Sebastián Silva. Best known for his Sundance Award-winning black comedy The Maid, and more recently Magic Magic, Silva's world is one of human foibles, a wryly comic examination of the dark impulses lurking deep within us. His new film Nasty Baby stars Silva himself and TV on the Radio's Tunde Adebimpe as a Brooklyn couple trying to have a baby with their best friend, who's played by Kristen Wiig, and whose lives are increasingly impinged upon by a menacing local. For the first time in Australia, Sebastián Silva will be a guest of the festival. Already announced is our celebration of the work of iconic actor David Gulpilil and his contribution to Australian cinema in films such as Walkabout, The Tracker, and Charlie's Country, for which he was recognised as Best Actor at Uncertain Regard in Cannes last year. We're including the world premiere of Molly Reynolds' Another Country, a patient, compassionate film about the distance between Indigenous and white Australia that continues to be fundamentally misunderstood and obscured. It really is a film that all Australians should see. Social realist filmmaking is a humble way of telling stories, but given its ability to combine sound, movement, editing, with the sheer magnitude of the big screen, film can also intoxicate with its colour and viscerality. MIFF's fourth retrospective looks at the psychedelic in the cinema, from modern neon interpretations to animation pop classics, from Australian takes on the genre to experimental political polemic, and of course, featuring the most wonderfully excessive European avant-garde classics. This is a kaleidoscopic world tour of 50 years of psychedelic sight and sound. And for something a little more sobering, don't miss our documentary focus, Witness to the Fact, True Crime on Screen. Oscar-nominated Amy Berg has taken on crime in many of her films. In Prophet's Prey, she presents the gripping, uneasy story of sociopathic cult leader Warren Jeffs and the shackled belief he inspired in his followers after the FBI placed him on its top 10 most wanted list. Also in the stream is Cartel Land, a 21st century Western about two groups and their shared enemy, the murderous Mexican drug cartels. In This Sporting Life, we encounter a variety of activities and the incredible stories behind them. Being Evil is Daniel Junger and Johnny Knoxville's take on Evel Knievel, whose daredevilry ignited America's post-Nixon cynicism into an obsessive culture of recreational risk-taking. Also included is the funny, gorgeously shot black and white rugby documentary, The Ground We Won, about a group of rugby outsiders in Reparoa, New Zealand. This year, MIFF delivers to you on a plate culinary cinema. This is the place to come to survey the world of high food culture, the people behind the restaurants, and perhaps most delicious of all, the film City of Gold. A charming survey of the LA food scene by MIFF guest Jonathan Gold, LA Times food critic and the only food writer to ever win a Pulitzer Prize. As cuisine is a treat for all the senses, not just the eyes, special culinary experiences will be provided with select screenings. Just you wait. And there will be a panel tackling the topic of whether foodieism has gone too far. Talking Pictures is the place where festival guests and local luminaries wax on the big ideas of the MIFF program. This year, they're more accessible than ever, as you'll be able to book many of them on your festival passports. We're proud to present a major speaking event in co-presentation with the Wheeler Centre, featuring retrospective subject David Gulpillo in conversation with Margaret Pomerantz right here at the Forum Theatre. Elsewhere, we talk to the teams from our gala screenings, with a special behind-the-scenes panel with Neil Armfield and the key cast of Holding the Man, which is screening, of course, as our centrepiece gala. And on the last weekend of the festival, David Stratton talks to the wonderful Paul Cox about 2015 opening film, Force of Destiny. Tickets are already on sale for the opening night. Don't miss it. It will be a night of massive celebration of a dearly loved and respected Melbourne filmmaker. Other ways to enjoy MIFF outside of the black box include vertical cinema from Sonic Axe, which sees 10 short experimental films projected on 35mm on the tallest, narrowest screen you'll ever encounter. And in the context of our psychedelic program, Sally Golding's expanded cinema work, Breaching Transmissions, at the just-opened Grey Gardens project in Fitzroy. The popular planetarium program is back, and of course, the festival lounge will be running every day in this room right here. Okay, so for the closing night, MIFF will go out in screwball style with Mistress America, which sees Noah Baumbach reteaming with his Francis Ha collaborator Greta Gerwig for a whip-smart modern-day comedy charmer. And if films are not debated and discussed, do they really exist? Following the success of the inaugural edition last year, Critics Campus returns with international critics Dana Linson of Der Filmkrant, Jay Weisberg of Variety, and Kevin B. Lee, video essayist and co-founder of Fandor. The following participants have been selected to undergo 5 days of workshops, mentoring, viewing, and writing. Tope Ogundari, Connor Bateman, Richard S. He, David Heslin, Eloise Grills, James Durant, Alexandra Schnabel, and Christy Collins. Congratulations to all and good luck. Okay, so as I finish up, I would like to say a heartfelt thanks to Claire Dobbin, I can't see you at all, but I know you're here, and the MIFF board, and all the MIFF staff, volunteers, filmmakers, distributors, and venues, and members, and sponsors, basically all of you, for making the 2015 festival happen. I'd also like to send a special shout out to MIFF's brilliant new General Manager, Amber Sloan. Let's give her a round of applause. And look forward to our first MIFF with her steering the ship in just over 3 weeks. Okay, so program guides will be handed out now. You've been very patient. Please take the time to read through them at your leisure, grab another glass of sparkling and enjoy your night. Thank you for coming along. See you at MIFF.